So my movie is From Dusk Till Dawn, which very similar to Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance. I love it because it picks a tone and it just sticks with it.
It's fucking bonkers.
It's an absolutely insane movie because half of the movie is a traditional like Robert Rodriguez take on a Quentin Tarantino movie, like of the time.
Starring Quentin Tarantino.
Exactly. He wrote the screenplay. This is Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, Tarantino. And it feels like that, and then the movie takes a hard left turn, and it somehow makes it even better. Because it takes that left turn, commits to it, and just goes with it.
Can I ask you a real quick question?
Yeah.
I don't know if I remember the movie correctly, but when it goes straight to like straight up like bloody gore, violent horror in the second half,
Yeah.
there's a lot of Sam Raimi shots. I think Rodriguez
Very
grew
like
up.
Evil Dead inspired. Yeah.
There's a lot of those weird
of
like
slapstick,
POV, like where
crazy
the camera's
shots.
going like shaking, like running towards like a thing that's supposed to,
Yeah.
like about to blow up.
And the more you watch it, the more you're like, it makes sense that Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez teamed up and made Grindhouse, which we'll talk about later as a tease.
That's a fucking tease and a half.
Oh, yeah. Don't you edge me. Anyway.
Edge Lord.
That's a drop right there. That's a segment.
I just dropped my edge.
That's what we call the tease for each new episode. The Edge Lord.
Here's the Edge Lord for next week.
But you can definitely and I will say the movie has its problems. There's the scene. So the whole thing with the Gecko brothers is we get the idea that they're the bank robbers. That opening scene, it's insane that we start there and end up where we do at the end of this movie. Because again, it is shot in such a serious Tarantino style. Mm-hmm. And it's so well acted. The dude with the counter, we had Michael Parks. Dude, fucking Michael Parks, man.
Yeah.
Good and everything.
Mm.
And having him like have this like Tarantino banter, and then he goes to take a piss, and then the scene gets pulled in, and then you're like, oh yeah, we're doing this movie. Because it's immediately with fucking George Clooney, which still blows my mind that he was in this movie.
Well, this
was before he was a star.
This was one of his breakout roles.
Because he was on ER at the time.
Peacemaker was like his first movie.
Yeah.
Which is not a good
Not
movie.
John Cena.
No,
Yeah.
with Nicole Kidman. I can't remember who did it. A good director made it.
Yeah.
Anyway, but this was like his second movie, I think. And I think he was still in the mode of like, let's do
He's
whatever.
not even fully gray yet in this movie.
No, he's still got the fucking Caesar cut, dude.
Yeah. This is ER era George Clooney. And he's great. Tarantino's
He's great in everything,
serviceable. Dude. Like it does a good job of making you like start to like see like you start to like Seth by the end of it because it's just like so ridiculous at this point. The problems I have is Richie's character, Quentin Tarantino's character.
Yeah.
Because they don't show it, but he sexually assaults and kills a woman when they have her as a hostage.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't remember that. And rewatching, I was like, I understand narratively why he made that choice to make it the differentiate. Because at the time, you still think Seth is a shitty person. And this is a way to show you that like Richie is like a lot. He is the one that's caught because you already have the scene where he shoots that guy because he mouthed "help us," even though we know that he didn't, but he heard that. And again, Tarantino pays it off later when Juliette Lewis is in the room, and it's showing you that Richie has delusions. Because he said, once you left, man, she was a different person and this happened. And he's like, you don't fucking do this, man. We're thieves. We don't kill people that we don't have to. And we definitely don't fucking do that,
Yeah.
I understand it, but you could have just had him, like, killing her would have been enough for me. Adding in that extra layer of sexual assault was like, what was the... Again, they don't show anything, but it's still like, eh. And it also does a job of saying, like, I don't really give a shit about Richie dying later in this movie at all.
So,
but anyway.
Yeah. Real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Quentin, hold your thought. Do you got it?
You know what, man? You deserve it, because I stepped on your tick.
No, but do you got it? I don't want you to... Okay. So, another movie that came out in the 90s around this time, which was Quentin Tarantino written, Natural Born Killers.
Yeah.
One of my... Great movie, right? Great movie. Do you remember the part where Woody Harrelson rapes a woman?
No, I don't.
Okay, they're driving through the town or whatever, and he just decides to pick up and that's when she drives away and goes and makes that dude eat her pussy on the hood of the car. Because he's doing that. I remember buying the movie, right, on DVD, and like 10, 15 years ago, and I'd completely forgotten about that part, right? And I'm watching the movie, and, you know, I enjoy the movie still. That part is still like, what the fuck, right? Because why is it necessary? Why do you have it in there?
Yeah.
The point is that I forgot about it, and then I saw that, and I'm like, the rest of the movie is just not the same as I remember it, because every time I'm like, why did you have to have that part in there? Like, what narratively does it say? I already don't like Mickey. I already don't like him. You're not supposed to. You don't have to make it like very. You know what I'm saying?
It just seems
it's
like
that
Tarantino
extra
had
layer
a
of
problem
shit.
with that, in my opinion.
It's that extra layer of shit. Why is it necessary?
Fucking.
But I just want to point that's a very similar situation where it's like, why do you have to add that shit?
Ving Rhames gets sexually assaulted in Pulp Fiction. Like, he has a weird thing with that. I don't know.
Diana Krall. He actually but in Inglourious Bastards, when she's choked out on POV screen, he's the one who does it, and he actually caused her to lose consciousness.
Ugh, weird.
But to be fair, she said okay for the movie.
Anyway, that's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
we got off topic. It's like it's in the name of the show.
What the fuck?
Whoa, jeez.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Anyway, so it takes that hard left turn when they finally go to the bar, the titty twister, which is just amazing.
It's almost like the busted lip.
But Cheech Marin plays 3 fucking characters in this movie because he's
Cheech.
He plays the border guard when they're trying to cross into Mexico. He fucking plays the barker in the front of the titty twister. And I did not remember he says pussy as many fucking times as he does. He goes, we got this pussy, that pussy. And he just keeps naming off different pussy. And he starts naming animal puss. And he's like, if you can find pussy anywhere else, fuck it. But the angle, and it's Cheech Marin, so it's fucking funny. But the angle is up underneath his crotch. And he goes, fuck it, and he looks directly at the camera. And there's shots like that you remember, like, oh, yeah, this is a Robert Rodriguez movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
Rodriguez breaks the fourth wall all the fucking
Rodriguez does something weird, like, so interesting with Tarantino, where, like, I think he brings out the little bit more fun side. And because, again, Tarantino wrote this script, and Rodriguez directed it. Even before that, I gotta talk about the soundtrack. The soundtrack of this movie is fucking crisp. Tito and Tarantula, the band in the bar, they're great. Is it the Bleecker song, Dark Night, when it's hot air hangs like a dead man? That one, you heard it? You know what I'm talking about?
Kinda.
At the beginning of the movie, they blow up the liquor store, and they go, Dark Night, boom, doom, 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 doom. That's a good song. Great song, and opens and closes the movie. And then that's a shot, too, where you see the title card. I'm like, God damn it, is this a Robert Rodriguez movie? Because it comes up from the bottom, and it's just big red front, From Dusk Till Dawn. And then it just has, like, all the stars on it real fast. And it was like, you could tell this was the early DNA of the Grindhouse stuff.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And once they get to that bar and they start turning into vampires, it's so insane.
They
and
were
it's amazing.
I think you could probably find interviews when they're talking about Grindhouse where they talked about
based on like a 70s exploitation movie.
Where they talked about working on From Dusk Till Dawn and how they were like, dude, we got to do this again someday.
Yeah.
Like somehow.
Rodriguez came back and made the series on the El Rey network a couple years ago.
Huh.
Good luck trying to find that.
I
should have watched it when it was on Netflix. No, but he is executive producer on it, so he like expands the lore of the bar and the
You know what's awesome about Robert Rodriguez? A lot of people don't know.
Do not talk about those sequels. I don't want to watch those.
No, Spy Kids.
Yeah,
he's behind all the Spy Kids movies. Dude, motherfucker made a mint off of those. He can do whatever kind of movies he wants the rest of his life.
He does a lot of things. Like, he made movies for his kids for a while, and he did a lot of...
Dude, Banderas is in it, and the reason why is because he's like, dude, I want to make a movie for my kids.
he would go back and forth with making those, and then after he did that, he went back to he did the Grindhouse stuff. Then he did,
got no problem with a man doing what he needs to do to feed his family.
There you go. But it's a great shot when you go into the bar and he's like, "This is my kind of place," and then they got the dancers and you don't think about it until you've seen the movie already. But I'm like, yeah, that does look ancient. Like that's the thing. They don't realize that this bar is like this Mayan temple because I didn't even think about it until I was watching it again. I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, the interior looks like it still looks archaic. Like there's like obviously stuff in there for a bar, like a jukebox and like all that stuff. But then when you already know what happens, you kind of pick up. And there's like fun little touches like that. And the whole Harvey Keitel's great in this movie.
Of course, he's great in everything.
His whole dynamic with George Clooney, Seth and Jacob's dynamic is great. When like one of my favorite parts is when he keeps pouring shots and slamming the shot glass down, and Jacob's like, "Why are you so pissy?" And he's like, "Why are you so upset?" And he's like, "Because I'm still stewing about that guy, so I'm gonna finish this bottle and break it over his fat fucking head or something like that." And he's like, Are you such a loser? You don't know you've won?" Like he's like, "You're in Mexico. You outran the cops. You're like, stop being a dick." And then he's just like, "All right, have a drink with me." And I was like, that was such a cool little character thing. But then you have moments like that, and then you also talk about the movie where Salma Hayek's head turns into a fucking snake for some reason.
So,
and also, of course, Tarantino wrote this movie because there's a close-up shot on Juliette Lewis's feet, and then he literally wrote the scene where Salma Hayek will shove her toes down his mouth. Because he wrote the screenplay.
Now, here's one thing. We, as movie-going audiences, at least I, did not really know who Salma Hayek was at this point.
She's like late 20s.
We don't really know who this incredible... What the fuck is this? Who? Wow. What? Is that a real person? Because I've never seen somebody so beautiful. And I remember very distinctly, like, afterwards, like, that's what a lot of people talked about was, like, how fun it was and who the fuck was that? Yeah. Like, Jesus. Like,
also,
wow.
Danny Trejo's great.
Still, just like, oh.
I love the part where he's like, "This bar's for bikers and truckers." Harvey Keitel's like, "Well, I got an RV. That's technically, I have a license to drive a truck, so I am a truck driver." And there's just like the whole Cheech payoff where they finally turn into... Oh, so when Tarantino gets shot, Richie gets shot in the hand at the beginning. They pay that off again where Danny Trejo stabs him in the same spot, which I thought was still a funny gag because it already has the hole and everything. They break out in a fight, then we find out the vampires and all that stuff. And then when we get to that point, it's kind of like, whoa. You're like, the first time you see it, you're like, what the hell's going on? And then after I've seen it a few times, I'm like, it's just, even then, it's just like, I love how quickly it just goes nuts. Similar to Evil Dead 2. Like, we're in it now. The gonzo shit's happening now. We're in it. One of my favorite parts is when, also, Tom Savini is fucking Sex Machine. And then Greg Nicotero is like his friend at the bar that he like steals the whole Sex Machine with the 6 shooters that look like a dick. Like, what do we do? So funny. And I forgot how funny his transition sequence is. Because he's the only one you actually see the transition happen after he gets bit. And he's sitting there, and there's like, the women are like, "Kill them, like whispering at him. And he's like, what the hell? And then he like moves his tongue around, and then he feels his teeth, and he like comically like covers his mouth, like, "Oh shit." And then his hands turn into claw. Like, it's funny because he's slowly turning, and like you never actually see like a comical thing. It's just like, I'm a monster now. And he had a whole fun fight with Fred Clark, I think was his name. And then he turns into one, and then like,
I don't think I've seen this movie for like 20 years or more.
Oh god, you gotta rewatch it. It's insane.
Well, I will, but stop spoiling it.
Like he flips over a table and stakes 4 different vampires on each leg of the table. It's shit like that. And it's just like, God, I love this movie.
Yeah.
And then the climactic scene where the guy that was supposed to meet Seth finally shows up. The sun comes up, and they shoot open the door, and then they explode, which is very Raimi-like explosion.
Right.
And then fucking his character's like, "You know what was in there?" Like George Clooney, like, "You know what was fucking in there?" And he's like, "If all the shitty rundown hellholes you could have picked in Mexico, why this one?" It's like, "What happened in there, man? What were they?" And he's like, "I don't know. What do you fucking think?" And he's like, Were they psychos? I don't care. The best line of the movie is when he's like, psychos don't explode when they hit sunlight. I don't care how fucking crazy they are. It was like such a good way to end that movie. From Dusk Till Dawn. Big fan.
I love you.
Okay, buddy.
Okay.
You know what? You know what I say to you from Dusk Till Dawn? I say,
yes! It is a great movie. It is great.
Is it? I would say it's a movie.
Off panel, off topic with Jake and Tyler.